Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am so excited to share with you these beautiful cards made with products from the Peony Garden Suite from the 2020-2021 annual Stampin' Up! Catalog. Now, let me pull in the catalog and show you exactly which suite I'm talking about. It's found on pages 82 and 83, and it is just the most beautiful collection of products that feature peony imagery. Now, I know it's not spring, but you know what? I am not ready for fall, so I have really enjoyed playing with these beautiful florals this week. Now, let me show you exactly what's included in this suite. So as with any suite, we have sort of our focal point of the suite, and that is the prized peony bundle. So we have the stamp set, which has beautiful floral imagery. Now these images are not full size. They're only shown at 90% on the stamp case, just so you know. And then we also have some lovely sentiments. And then we have this amazing set of dies. Now this again is like two sets of dies in one. So we have several dies that coordinate with the stamped images and cut out the stamped images. But then we have several dies which can look a little intimidating. I'll be honest, when I first looked at this set, I kind of looked at it and went, we'll figure that out later. And I set it aside because I had no idea what to do with these strange looking dies. But I'm going to show you today, and I can't believe that I was ever worried about it. It's so easy. But in any case, this die set also includes these very odd looking dies to create beautiful 3D peonies. And we also get a bonus edge die that also embosses. Okay, so that is the prize peony bundle. Then we have coordinating products. We have beautiful designer series paper, again with gorgeous peony imagery. So we have 6 different designs on one side, and then they're all double-sided, as with all of our DSP. So the back side is all neutrals. It's all grays. It's either gray granite or basic gray. And then the front is petal pink and basic gray. So just gorgeous. And you get, of course, 2 of each sheet in your package of DSP. So that's the DSP. Then we have a beautiful, and you've seen me use this a couple of times already, the Dainty Diamonds embossing folder. Creates a really lovely, intricate embossed image. Now this is a 3D folder, okay, so you get really beautiful embossed images. And then we of course have beautiful embellishments. So we have these yummy elegant faceted gems. We're going to use those today. And then we have this gorgeous gray granite shimmer ribbon. It's 1/4 inch wide, ties like a dream. I'm actually going to use it on all 3 projects today, so you'll see it in action. So that is the prize peony, or sorry, the Peony Garden Suite. The bundle is called Prize Peony. So it is a gorgeous suite, as I was saying, and I'm just now really getting a chance to play with it, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to set these aside, and I'm just, before we get going here, I'm going to pull up my video on my iPad so I can see who's watching with me. Who is here? There we go. All right, who's here? We've got Louise and Sue and Deb and Gail and Debbie. Hi, ladies. Hope you're having a good week and a good day. So we are going to go kind of from simple to more complex. We're going to start with this really super quick and easy one. So sympathy cards are never something that are easy to make, right? And it's always best to have a stash of them on hand so that when you need one, you have one without having to design and make one. Because honestly, when you need to send a sympathy card, the last thing that's really on your mind is designing a card. So this one is super quick. You could mass produce several of these with different patterns and put them in your stash, and then you'll have them. So let's get to it. This is a piece of the Peony Garden Designer Series paper. It's a really fine herringbone design. I'm not sure how well it shows up on the camera, but it is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. That's the back side. It's got the peony buds on the back side. And I'm going to take some basic gray ink and this large peony stamp. This is gorgeous. Oh, the images in this stamp set are absolutely stunning. They're just gorgeous. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my peony. Now I'm going to stamp it so that the stem at the bottom comes off the bottom of the page, so it kind of looks like it's anchored. I don't want floating peonies, okay? So I want to anchor them on the bottom of my page a little bit, just like that. And then we are going to actually tear one corner of this. And I know some people get really stressed out when I tear cardstock or DSP or whatever, but it's okay to do that, and it creates an interesting textural edge. Now, here's just a little tip when you are tearing paper, okay? So if you look at my sample here, you'll see I don't see a white edge. I only see the color right up to the torn edge. Okay, in order to make sure that happens, we need to tear so that we're tearing away from the front side of the DSP. So I'm going to start my tear, and I'm tearing downwards. Okay, so I'm just going to tear right across here on a diagonal, and you can see that I don't see any white. The white is on the piece that I tore off. Okay, so I tore downwards, so I tore the corner downwards, okay? If you want the white edge here, then you would tear towards you, all right? That's just a little paper tearing trick, or tip, I guess, to keep in mind. All right, so then we have just a little piece. Now, we're not going to use this whole piece. I just need a little piece to fill in my corner here, okay? So I always cut a larger piece than I'm going to need, just in case, you know, I get a little carried away when I'm tearing. So I'm actually going to take and chop this in half with my paper trimmer. I think this is maybe 3x4. I'm not even sure. It's just whatever scrap that I had kicking around. So let's just cut this in half. And we're just going to use half of that to fill in that bottom corner like that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, the easiest way to do this, to glue it, to make sure you end up with a nice square finished piece, is to use your grid paper. So I'm going to apply a little bit of tape, and then I'm going to, and I need this to be 4 inches. So I'm going to put this right along my bottom edge. Make sure you guys can see that. Let me move it up a little bit so you can see my ruler edge here. So I am... Actually, I'll do it at 12 up higher. There we go. That way you'll be able to see it. So I'm putting my little scrap piece right flush in the corner, and then I'm going to lay the other corner of my larger piece down, and then I can easily line that up. Okay, and that's how you get a nice square piece without using a big piece behind it. Okay, all right. So we have here a piece of Petal Pink cardstock. It is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So we're going to go ahead and layer that just behind our DSP. So we'll add a little bit of tape. And we're going to pop this on just like that. Okay, isn't that pretty? It's so simple, but so pretty. This stamp imagery is just stunning. All right, so I have my card base here. Now, all 3 cards today use the exact same cardstock base. It's gray granite cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches and scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So I'm not going to give the dimensions for all the others. They're exactly the same. Okay, I will post them in the video description later if you wanted to come back and try making any of these, so you have your measurements. So we're going to add a little bit of tape, oopsie, to the back of our panel. I need to pull this grid paper closer to me now because I can't see what I'm doing. So we're going to pop that on there, hopefully straight, just like that. Okay, now you could make this, at this point, you could make it any sentiment, right? You could add a happy birthday, you could add Mother's Day, you could do thank you, you could do anything. But we are making sympathy card. So I'm going to pull in my So Sorry for Your Loss stamp and ink it up with some basic gray. Now, remember I said this was gray granite. I did stamp my my peony in the basic gray. So I'm going to stick with basic gray for my sentiment. The 2 colors work really well together, and honestly, the shimmer ribbon works with both colors as well. So we're going to ink this up. My little label here is die cut using the Stitch So Sweetly dies. So we're going to pop this onto the front of our card with a dimensional or 2 or 3 or 4. Thanks, Diane. I'm glad you like the tips. I'm all about teaching people how to do things easily. That's what I'm about, right? I'm a teacher. So the more I can teach people something that they didn't otherwise know or that makes them better stampers, the happier I am. Okay, so we're going to pop this on, hopefully straight. Okay, and then we're going to take some of this gorgeous shimmer ribbon. So to make our bow, we are going to make a loop with each hand. So we're pinching with our thumb and index finger on each hand. We're keeping the ribbon flat. We're not letting it twist. Crossing the left loop over the right and bringing it through. And then you just play with your loops and pull your knot nice and tight. Okay, so that your bow doesn't slip. And then trim your tails. And there's your pretty little bow. Easy peasy. So we're going to tuck this in. I tucked it right at the corner of this little label here. So we're going to add just a glue dot to the knot. And we're going to pop that right in the corner just like that. Fluff up our loops a little bit. And there you go. Super quick and easy sympathy card. Okay, now on the inside of this one, I added another Whisper White panel and another sentiment from the stamp set and then stamped that beautiful rose. This time I stamped it in the gray granite just because I had the gray granite cardstock and I felt like that worked a little bit better. Okay, so that is super quick and easy card number 1. Done and done. Let me get tidied up here a little bit and we're going to move on to number 2. Alrighty, number 2 is this beauty. I posted this earlier today. I love gray granite and purple posy together. Love it. All right, so let's get through to this one. Now this one is a little bit more involved because it has some coloring. Now I have already stamped and die cut the image and started coloring it just so you guys don't have to sit and watch me color for 20 minutes. But I used the purple posy blends to color my peony. Now I've left a little bit, so I'll show you what I did. So when we're coloring with the blends, my personal preference, and there are others who will do things differently, but my preference is to lay down a layer of light first. So I'm going to color the rest of this image with the light purple posy. And I don't have to be super careful because I'm just coloring the entire image. So I'm not really trying to stay within the lines of the petals. I'm just coloring that entire remaining image. And look at how much lighter it is when it's wet. It's amazing. Then I'm going to take my dark and I'm going to come in and add shadow where the shadow is on the stamp. Now this is a really great stamp set because it's easy to color. It shows you where to add your shadow. So I'm just adding the dark where the shading is on the stamped image. So easy. Like seriously, doesn't get any easier than that. Okay, and oh, I missed a little bit here. We need a little bit in here. There we go. Then we're going to come back in with the light once again, and we're going to blend that out. So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to blend all of that out. And you're still going to see quite a color contrast between the part that is dry and this new part that I'm coloring now. It will dry, and it will dry to the same color, so I won't have a two-tone peony. It just takes a little bit for all of the alcohol to evaporate. So we're just going to lay this down and blend that out. Okay. And like I said, once that dries, it will dry to that same shade. Okay, so that's the flower. And then for the leaves, I use soft sea foam. Okay, so the soft sea foam is, I'm starting again with the light, and I'm going to do this little leaf here, and then these bigger guys over here. So again, I'm just laying down a layer of the light really quick, not being super careful. I love the really soft tones for this stamp set. It's just so pretty. And then I'm going to add a little bit of dark, just again along where the shadow and the veining is on the leaf. Do not need to be an art expert or have any artistic talent whatsoever to color and make it look good. That's what I love about stamping. You don't have to be able to draw to be an artist. I can't draw stick people. To be honest, I am horrible at that. That's why stamping makes me happy. Love it. Okay, oh, gotta add a little bit more here. There we go. Okay, and you see how that's already starting to fade? Isn't it amazing as it dries, the way it changes color? All right, there is my finished peony. Isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. All right, let's grab, we're gonna set this guy aside to finish drying. And we're gonna grab this piece. So this is another piece of gray granite cardstock. It is cut to 4 by 5¼ inches. And then I have this gorgeous, this is another peony image from the same stamp set. And I'm gonna do a little tone on tone stamping. So we're gonna create our background here. So there are lots of ways to create interest on a background. You could emboss, you could use DSP, but another great, quick and easy way is to stamp, okay? And if you stamp tone on tone, it's just really subtle. So I'm gonna ink up my peony image here, and I'm just going to start stamping across this panel. And I'm not worrying too much about the middle, obviously, because that's gonna get covered up. So I'm gonna just add a little bit of texture here with that stamp, okay? So simple, and really, really subtle. All right, so let's set that aside. And then we are going to take a piece of the Peony Garden Dsp. So this is yet another pattern. It's got this pattern on the other side. All right, this is cut to 3 by 4 inches. And then we have a purple Posy cardstock layer that is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. So we're gonna layer those like that. So I'm gonna grab my liquid glue just so that I have the wiggle time. And when you're using liquid glue, guys, less is more, right? You don't want to overdo it with the liquid glue or you have an oozy sticky mess. So just a little dab will do ya with this stuff. All right, so there is our layered DSP. Now we're gonna go ahead and add some ribbon as soon as I figure out what I did with it. There it is, it's buried. So we're gonna take some more of that gorgeous ribbon. I'm gonna press the end of the ribbon into a glue dot. And I'm gonna lay it across the front of my panel about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. So I'll wrap that around and stick it to the back. And then I'll just trim off the roll here. And then I'm gonna add another glue dot to the other end and wrap it around. Okay, so now I have this nice little band of ribbon going around my panel. Okay, so then that is ready to get glued onto our stamped background. Now before we do that, actually, let's layer our background on some purple Posy cardstock as well. So do you remember this was 4 by 5 1/4? So this is 1/8 of an inch larger. So 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, I am really a big fan of narrow borders, in case you hadn't noticed. And so if you just remember to create a narrow border, you just want to cut your cardstock 1/8 of an inch larger on both sides, and you will get a beautiful narrow little 1/16 of an inch border. And I'm going to tidy this up. And again, this is why we use liquid glue, because we can adjust and get things centered the way we like them. There we go. Okay. So now this piece is going to get popped up in the center of our panel. Okay, so I'm going to use a couple of dimensionals again, or 5 or 6, as the case may be. I know some of you are cringing. I'll just do 5. How's that? I'm being conservative today, you guys. Aw, thanks, Debbie. I'm glad you find what I'm doing helpful. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and center this on our panel. So I'm centering it side to side and top to bottom. Okay, so they're not going to be equidistant. So we're going to have equal borders top and bottom and equal borders side to side. But this and this won't be equal just because of the measurements here. Okay, so there is my panel. Now we can go ahead and layer this on our card base. And I'm not going to give you the dimensions because it's exactly the same as the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that in half. And this time we'll use a little bit of tape. Whoop, take off the cover would be helpful. It is actually miraculous I haven't lost the cover for this thing yet. I don't know how. I have not lost it. It has been buried on many occasions under lots and lots of scraps, but it seems to always find its way home. Okay, so there is our foundation. And then we're ready to go ahead and add our gorgeous peony. Now we're going to glue this again so that it is anchored at the bottom of our card. Okay, and again, we're going to pop it up. So this is kind of double popped. Can you see all the dimension on that card? I'm not sure how well that shows, but I love layering and dimension. That's another thing you probably noticed about me if you've watched for any length of time. All right, so we'll add a mini here, and we may need 2 minis. Will we need 2 minis there? Yeah, we're gonna need 2 minis on this guy because it's double popped, right? So in order to make sure it lies flat, I'm gonna do 1 mini, take off the backing, and then stack another mini on top. Okay, and that way, because it's gonna stick to the card, the background of the card, it will still lie flat. Just a little trick for those who like dimension as much as I do. All right, so we're gonna pop this on. We want to take care that this is not sticky too far off the edge of the card. Otherwise, oh, did I put my minis too far up? I may have. Oh, we're still okay. All right, there we go. Okay, now we just need to do our sentiment. So let's set this aside. And I have here this little bitty stitched rectangle. This is cut using the stitched rectangle dies. And I have this sentiment stamp that says love and thanks to a dear friend. Now, I only wanted to use the love and thanks portion of the sentiment. So there are 2 things I could do. One, and it's not beyond me, is to do some stamp surgery and cut this apart. Now, because this is such a teeny tiny sentiment, I decided that probably would not be the best thing because it would be harder to get a well-stamped image if I cut that off. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Write marker instead. So I'm going to take the brush tip of my Stampin' Write marker. Now, this is not a Stampin' Blends, okay? You can't do this trick with Stampin' Blends, so don't try it. All you'll do is stain your stamp, okay? So I'm going to take the side of my brush tip, and I'm just going to ink the portion of the stamp that I want to use. In this case, just the words love and thanks. And then we're going to stamp it on our little rectangle. And again, this is going to be tricky because I am not looking straight on. I actually cut an extra one just in case. Here we go. Cross your fingers. Oh, that actually went well. I didn't even need an extra. Yay me. All right, that doesn't happen very often. I hate stamping off to one side. All right, now this is going to go onto the front of our card. This part is going to get glued flat, which is a little bit of tape, and then we're going to put a couple of mini dimensionals here, where it's going to sort of trail off. Wait a minute, let's make sure I'm doing the right way. So 1 there, and a 1 there. Get rid of our backings. And then I think we'll just use a glue dot on this end. And then we're gonna pop this on. Now I don't wanna cover up that pretty ribbon, so I'm actually gonna put it just above where the ribbon is so that it peeks out underneath and we get that little bit of sparkle. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. All right, then we're gonna add another pretty little bow. So again, we're gonna tie this. You're getting 3 bow tying lessons today, guys. Let me not twist that ribbon. Okay, so we're gonna pinch to form our 2 bunny ears, right? Our 2 loops, keeping them flat, left over right, around and through. And there is our pretty bow. Works like a charm every time, you guys. Just need a little practice and you're good, really. Okay, so let's trim our tails. And then we're gonna tuck this just at the sort of right at the corner of our label there. So again, we're gonna press that into a glue dot and just tuck that right on there like that. Isn't that pretty? Love it. Now the last touch, because I'm me, and because I can, we're gonna add a little wink to our peony and give it a little bit of shimmer. This will not show up on the camera, I have no doubt, because it never does. But you can trust me when I say it makes it just so much prettier with a little bit of sparkle. Okay, last touch on this is to add some of these beautiful, elegant faceted gems. So we're gonna use some of these clear ones, which kind of look like, almost like rhinestones. They're really faceted, they're quite pretty. So we're just gonna add 1 and 2 and 3, just like that. Okay, I'll just show you quick what I did on the inside of my sample here. So here I use that same stamp that we used on the background, okay, and then I just stamped a few times again in the gray granite ink on a Whisper White panel to finish it off. All right, Okay, rolling along, done project number 2. All right, number 3 is fun, because I'm going to show you how to put these 3D peonies together. All right, so this is number 3. Ow, I just stabbed myself with it. Take your pick. No blood on camera, please. All right, okay, so this is what we're going to make. 2 sort of steps that we're going to go through here. The first, I'm going to show you how to do this sponged ombre background, and then I'm going to show you how to put the peony together. Okay, so let's do our sponging first. So this is a piece, again, of that Peony Garden Dsp. And I am using Seaside Spray and Misty Moonlight to sponge my background. Now, I know that there are no such thing as blue peonies, but I just love these 2 colors together, and they make me happy. So just work with me, okay? Just let me have my fun. All right, so this piece of DSP, it's got the marbly pattern on the back, but it's like a gray and white just floral pattern, and it is cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to start with my Seaside Spray and my sponge dauber. And I'm going to come in from the corners, and you are always, when you are blending ink, you are always working in a circular motion. We're never doing dab, 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 okay? When you're trying to blend, the only way you will get a good blend is if you are working in little circles, okay? Trust me, you will not get well-blended color. If you're doing this, you're going to get a whole bunch of little circles. Okay, and your color will not blend as well. So circular motion, and I always like to start at the edge and work in, because if you look at my card, you see how my edges are darker, and that's going to allow me to control the amount of color that goes into the middle. So again, starting in the corner and coming on, circular motion. I love blending ink. I could do this all day, you guys. So many fun combinations when you blend them together. This is a really simple one. The fewer colors you have, the easier it is, right? There's not as much blending that has to happen. But if you get 3, 4, 5 colors, you can get some gorgeous results. Okay, now that's really pretty as it is, right? Like really pretty. But we're not done. We're going to come in with some Misty Moonlight now. And we are going to darken down the edges. I love these 2 together as well, Deb. These 2 blues were made for each other, honestly. They're just gorgeous. All right, so I've got my Misty Moonlight. Now this time I'm going to come on from the edge, but I'm not going to go as far in, right? I don't want to go all the way into the middle because I want the middle to be lighter. Okay, so I'm just going to come in from on the edges, and remember, less is more, right? When you're starting a new color, you can always add more of a darker color. You can't take it away if you put too much. So always go lighter, and then you can always darken it down. So we're coming on from the corners and the edge. And by coming on from the edge every time, you're going to get a really nice, dark, defined edge all the way around. I'm going to come in a little bit more on this end. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Now, I could, if I wanted to, and I think I might just a little bit, come back in with my Seaside Spray, and we're going to just blend that a little bit more. So I'm going to add just a little bit more color in the middle here. And I'm starting on the darker Misty Moonlight section just to pull that color together a little bit better. There we go. Perfection. I love it. It's so pretty. Oh, all right. That's our background. Okay, easy peasy. We're going to add a little strip of gray granite cardstock that I've embossed using that Dainty Diamonds embossing folder. It's so pretty. And this is going to go on about 3/4 of an inch in from the left side. Oh, yeah. Had to second guess myself there for a second. I am going to use a little bit of liquid glue for this just because sometimes the Stampin' Seal does not like embossed cardstock. Sometimes it tears it, much like Fast Fuse used to do. So we are going to just pop this on right about there using the grid paper to make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, and then we're gonna set that aside. Now we're gonna have some fun building a peony. So when you do your die cuts, as I mentioned, there are 4 dies. Where did I put my dies? There are 4 dies that you're going to cut. So there's 4 different layers. So this one, okay, so you're cutting 1. There's your next size down, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then this little guy is for the center. These ones here are to cut leaves. We're not going to do any leaves today. Okay, all right. So I like to start with the smallest one. You can go from biggest to smallest or smallest to biggest. I like to go from smallest to biggest. That's just the way my brain works. And there are any number of ways that you can do this. You can assemble your peony without doing any additional burnishing or sponging or adding any extra dimension to it. You'll get a very different look than what I got here. So in order to get the definition and the sort of the dimension, you want to do a little bit of sponging on your pieces. So you can do it in the same color of ink or a complementary color. I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight. Make sure I've got my right dauber. Yes, I do. And I'm going to start and just very gently sponge. That's a bit too much ink on there. Around the edges. Now, this little bit here, this cutout, we're also going to see. So I'm going to just sponge a little bit here. Now, that's not going to look like much right now, but once I get this assembled, you're going to see what a difference that makes. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on the next one up. I don't need to go all the way around the edges on this because really you only see sort of that top portion. And then we're going to sponge this cutout edge as well. The thing with this is when you're sponging, you kind of want to go all in the same direction. Okay, you'll get a better look. And then we're going to do this one. Now this one, we're going to go down a little bit further because we're going to see a little bit more of this piece. And then again, we're going to sponge upwards along this cutout edge. Don't worry about getting ink here. It's going to be hidden. You're not going to see it. Okay, and then our large one, we're going to go all the way around on this one because we're going to see the whole thing. So we're just going to add a little bit of ink all the way around. Okay, and then again along this bottom edge. And I find this one easier to do actually lying flat just because it's quite the cutout. Okay, done and done. Ow. Ow, I just put my thumb in the ink. Really good move. All right, so now we're going to start building. So we're going to start with our smallest one. And with this piece, I find it easiest to come in from the bottom. So I'm going to take this small one, I'm going to slide it in to the slot on the second smallest one. And when I'm sliding it in, I want to line up those bottom edges. You see how they're the same shape? Okay, so you're going to line those up. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the next one, lining up my bottom edges. Okay, and then this one I find easiest to come in from the top. So we're just going to slide this guy in here, and again, line up those bottom edges. And there's your peony. Wasn't that easy? So easy to make a peony. All right, now you could leave it like this if you wanted to. You do have to secure it with a little bit of adhesive, but I like to actually do a little bit of burnishing. So I'm going to pull this apart again. And we're going to take our bone folder. Look at the ink all over my fingers. Ugh, so annoying. And I'm going to do a little bit of burnishing with my bone folder. That is going to allow me to get some nice dimension and height when I'm building my peony. Okay, so this is going to give it a little bit more of a 3D effect. Okay, so I've just gently bent each one of my pieces. So again, we're going to slide this first one in, lining up those bottom edges. And then we do our next one, lining it up. And finally our last one. Okay, and can you see how much more dimension and shape that has just by doing that little bit of burnishing? Now, we're going to also add the center of our peony. It's going to go inside that teeny tiniest piece, that first piece that we had. It's just going to tuck in there like that. Okay, so we're going to start with that piece and we're going to do some adhering. So I'm going to put a glue dot on the top of this guy. Oops, that did not stick. Come on, there we go. Did I mention that this is cut from Seaside Spray cardstock? I don't know if I did. If not, it's cut from Seaside Spray cardstock. There you go. Okay, so we've tucked that guy in there. And then what I like to do is take my Take Your Pick tool and I peel off the backing from my mini dimensionals. And then I just kind of take it with my Take Your Pick and I sort of start shoving dimensionals in between the layers. So one there. And we'll get rid of our backing. And we'll grab this guy. Try not to stick it to your fingers. And then we're gonna go in behind the next layer. I'm actually gonna put two in here. So one there. And one over here. Come on, stay put. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and add some more in behind here. Now for this one, it's big enough that I can actually use full-size dimensionals. So again, I peel the backing off first, then it's easier to pick it up and just slide it in there. So we just kind of tuck one in there like that. Okay, and then one more, just like that. Okay, and look at how much more shape and dimension that has compared to when we had it just flat. Okay, it's just so, so pretty. Love it, and so easy to make. I don't know why I was afraid of these dies for the longest time. I just didn't want to touch them because I was afraid of, I don't know, I just thought it would be too complicated. It's not. I should know. Stampin' Up doesn't do complicated. All right, I need my basic gray ink, and we are going to stamp My Thoughts Are With You. Now this is die cut using the Ornate Layers dies. Okay, now I cut this with the new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I gotta tell you, it cut like butter. Okay, I'm actually gonna post a recorded review video by the end of the week, and I will show you just what an amazing job this machine does. That's coming. All right, so now we're gonna grab our basic gray ink and My Thoughts Are With You. And we're gonna stamp towards the right end of our little label here. Okay. And then that's gonna get glued onto our background panel. So we're gonna glue it on right about there. Okay, it's a little bit to the right of center. That's just to allow us enough room to get our peony on there. Okay. So we'll add just a little bit of tape here. And we're gonna slide it over. Right about there. And then before we put our peony on, we're going to add some ribbon because I can't get enough of this gorgeous ribbon. And this I'm actually going to do off to the side a little bit. I'm not doing it centered. If it bothers you that it's not centered on the gray granite piece, by all means go ahead and center it. My eye likes things a little bit off. What can I say? All right. Before we add our peony, we're going to go ahead and glue this on our card base. So same size card base as for the first two cards. And we're going to add a little bit of adhesive. And pop this, ooh, stuck it to my finger, pop this onto the front of our card base. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and add our peony. Now this you can put on, I would recommend adding a couple of dimensionals here, okay, so you keep the shape. If you glue this flat, you're going to lose a lot of the curved dimension that we got from doing the burnishing. So we're going to just put our dimensionals on there, and then that's going to go right on the left side of the tag. And then we're going to add a little bow. So one more bow with this beautiful ribbon. So again, we make our loops, left over right, around and through, and adjust our loops and trim our tails. So easy to make a pretty bow. Easy when you have great ribbon to work with too. And then this is going to tuck just up at the bottom of our peony like that. Okay, and then we're going to add just a couple more of these gorgeous Faceted Gems. So these ones are kind of pearlized. I really like the look of these. So we're going to add those there and done. On the inside of this one, again, I added another sentiment and some pretty stamped peonies as well. All right, you guys, now let me get rid of, flip this over so we don't have our ugly sponging there. I'll bring these all back in. Now, before we go, I have to show you my latest online class. I was having so much fun playing with this suite that I had to do an online class with it. So let me show you the projects and I'll explain how this class is going to work. So as I said, I love making these 3D peonies and I couldn't resist. So here is the first card in this online class, just a basic card, but oh my goodness, look at these gorgeous peonies. So pretty. So this is card number 1. Let me get these out of the way. So number 1, here is a straightforward card, but such a wow. So pretty. Number 2. And then we get 3 fun fold classes. Okay, so here is, or 3 fun fold cards, not classes, cards. So this is number 1, kind of a different fold, also a different color scheme. I'm loving the magenta. Number 2 is this fun take on a gate fold. So it opens this way and then this way. So you get to see the beautiful DSP on the reverse side. So that is number 4. And then number 5 is this sort of alternate take on a fun fold this way. Okay, so those are the 5 cards in this class. So there are 3 pricing options. I just have to get my little cheat sheet here so I don't tell you the wrong information. So all of my online classes include all of the pre-cut, pre-measured, die-cut pieces to create all of the projects in the class. So 5 kits to make all 5 of these cards, okay? You also get a step-by-step tutorial video and a PDF that I email you that has all of the measurements and supply lists for each card. Okay, so that's all included in each one of these price points. So in addition to this, for the first option, you receive the kits and a package of these gorgeous, elegant, faceted gems. So that option is $30. Okay. Option number 2 includes, again, all 5 kits, the tutorial video, the PDF, the gems. Where'd I put my ribbon? That gorgeous ribbon. And a pack of vellum doilies, which I forgot to get out, which are part of the suite. Forgot them. Where are they? They are, I'll show you on one of the cards. These guys, you get a pack of these pretty vellum doilies. So 1, 2, 3 embellishments and the card kits for $50. That's option 2. And then option 3 includes the card kits, the video, the PDF, the gems, and the bundle, okay, which has the stamp set and dies if you don't already have the bundle. You will need the bundle to complete the class. Okay, so all of the information is going to be posted shortly on my business page, and there is a link there to a Google form where you can place your order for your class. Okay, now the deadline to order is August 21st. It's a pretty quick turnaround because I want to get this out before I have to go back to work. Okay, so that is my latest offering, and I'll just lay these out again so you can see all 5 of these pretty projects. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed these projects today, and I will see you not this Friday because I have my virtual bingo event on Friday night. So I will be back next Tuesday with another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now, everyone.